is AEW successful? Why is Tony Khan running his promotion better than Vince McMahon and Bruce Prichard are running Monday night and Friday night? Long-term booking.
Guys, thank you so very much for joining me right here on Off The Script. I got a little bit of extra for you. It is Thursday, March 24th, 2022. I am JD from New York, as always, coming to you from the OTS venue. Thank you guys so very much for joining me on this Thursday afternoon, wherever you may be. We got some stories floating around out there. I figured I'd come on here, give you guys a little bit of a daily update on what's going on in the world of professional wrestling during a week where we are literally 8 days away from WrestleMania, and it just feels slow. It feels very dead in the world of pro wrestling. I don't know what's going on. I think everybody's just kind of waiting around till WrestleMania, but I still got the news for you, so I figured I'd jump on here and give you guys the update today for your Thursdays. We got an update on WWE 2K Games. Apparently, WWE and 2K Games might continue to be in bed with each other. Will it be as cringe as Tay Conti and Sammy Guevara? Probably not. I don't want to see pictures of them laying in bed naked on social media. That's the reason why their gimmicks and their characters on AEW TV aren't really getting over with the general AEW audience. But I got news on 2K Games and WWE. Huge update on their partnership moving forward. Ric Flair and Bully Ray once again in the news for saying ridiculous, stupid bullshit just to get themselves over because their respective shows are flat out awful. So we'll go over what those two goons said on their respective podcast. MJF and WWE. MJF apparently loves everything that WWE is doing. I don't believe him for one single solitary second. But it's MJF. You know he's going to play it up and be the good little boy because he wants to get as much money out of Tony Khan, and he's going to use WWE as leverage. Also, WWE interested in Ethan Page. Too little, too late, Bruce. Too little, too late. Nick Khanman. He's already signed with AEW, but why are they interested now in all of a sudden Ethan Page? And major news on WWE quietly changing around the order of matches on Night 1 and Night 2 at WrestleMania 38 this coming weekend. Not this weekend, but the following weekend. We're about 8 days away from WrestleMania. And oh my goodness, holy shit, does Night 2 of WrestleMania look like a terrible SmackDown on Friday night. It looks awful. So what did they change? We'll go over that today right here on OTS Extra. Make sure you guys follow me on social media at JD from NY206. That's Twitter and Instagram. We were live last night for Dynamite. Make sure you guys go check that out. I was live for Tuesday's NXT. I was live for Monday's Raw. If you guys missed any of the content this week on the channel, make sure you guys go to the homepage. Everything you need is listed right there. Even got some video game content up on the channel. WWE 2K22 My Rise. Episode 1 is now live. I'm pushing episode 2 back until Saturday. So make sure you guys go and check that out when it is readily available. I will be live on Friday night for SmackDown and AEW Rampage, so make sure you guys set your notifications for that. Again, hit that thumbs up, 1,000 likes minimum on today's OTS Extra. Hit that subscribe button down below and turn on the bell for all notifications if you guys have not done so. And go get your t-shirts. Merchandise is now available on bonfire.com. Link is down in the description of this very video. Ric Flair. Might as well start with this one. Ric Flair causes some controversy with a comment he made about Bryan Danielson and AJ Styles. Bully Ray, on the other hand, I don't think he realizes what's going on, and it's a clear indication that guys like Bully Ray do not watch the WWE product, because otherwise, shit like this is not going to be said. Let's start with Ric Flair. Ric Flair made a habit of making some newsworthy comments in the past, and he's not really stopping anytime soon. And the latest episode was no different for Ric Flair of his podcast. AJ Styles was trending on Twitter yesterday as people reacted to a comment from Ric Flair. Now, if you don't know, Ric Flair is absolutely over the moon about AJ Styles. Everybody is. AJ Styles is one of the best professional wrestlers on the face of the earth. And he was extremely complimentary of AJ Styles in this particular statement. But it was a specific comment that compared AJ Styles and Bryan Danielson that caused people to get AJ trending on social media. Flair said, Bryan Danielson is very good, but he is not AJ Styles. That's the comment that got people up in arms. Now, while that was, I guess, kind of a compliment, because he did call Danielson very good, a lot of people saw that remark as a bit of a cheap shot. Now, this isn't the first time that Flair has made any kind of comment about Danielson, and a very familiar comparison between Danielson and Styles. A few months ago, Flair said Danielson and his work was okay, if you guys remember that, adding, he's got a style. He's not AJ Styles by any means. He's a little bit smaller than AJ. He's not AJ. I like his conditioning. He works hard. He'll do anything to sacrifice his body at all odds. He'll throw himself around and take incredible bumps. He's a hell of a hand. You're asking me who is good and who is great. He's very good. End quote from Ric Flair. I don't understand why there is a comparison, number one. Number two, it comes off as favoritism and pro-WWE, and that's the part that gets everybody up in arms. I don't know why you listen to these people. Everybody seems to think that people like me don't deserve a platform to do long-form podcasts and talk about professional wrestling. I've been watching this shit since I was 4 years old, man. I know a lot more than most. Guys like Ric Flair, they're demented. They've taken one too many shots to the head, and they don't know what they're doing while they're doing it. There's no reason to compare the two. Bryan had a career year last year. AJ Styles has been stuck in mid-card purgatory. I hope that changes with his match against Edge at WrestleMania. They are both incredible professional wrestlers. Let's leave that at the door and not embellish on Ric Flair's fucking comments. Yes, they are both incredible professional wrestlers. Yes, you may like one over the other for whatever reason, but it doesn't take away from the fact that they are both the best at what they do. Danielson is being used better than AJ Styles. That's the most I'll say about what Ric Flair is comparing between the two. As far as in-ring, I mean, they're both very, very, very similar. And if you put both in the ring against each other, you're probably going to get a 5-star classic. And we've seen it already once before. So let's not go over the top and start getting AJ trending and make another WWE versus AEW fucking narrative out there on social media. It's utterly ridiculous, and there's a much better way to spend your time instead of being on social media talking about all this bullshit with people that honestly don't give a shit about you. Bully Ray, he said something that was a lot more stupid than Ric Flair, and he talked about how he doesn't want Stone Cold Steve Austin to main event WrestleMania Night 1 against Kevin Owens with a KO show. He criticized WWE for putting Austin in the main event of Night 1 of WrestleMania. Now, I don't know why he said that, but it hasn't been confirmed that WWE is doing Stone Cold Steve Austin and Kevin Owens in the main event of Night 1. Right now, they've already announced, this was weeks ago, that it will be Ronda Rousey. I broke my hand. Ronda Rousey, drowsy. I live on Drowsy Acres. And I had a child. And I think after my current WWE run, I'm going to have baby number 2. And you'll never see me again. Ronda Rousey. WWE already announced that Ronda Rousey will be main eventing Night 1 of WrestleMania with Charlotte Flair. So Bully Ray goes out and says, well, why is Stone Cold Steve Austin main eventing night one? Nobody ever mentioned Stone Cold Steve Austin main eventing night one. He was on Busted Open, and Steve Austin and Kevin Owens is all but confirmed for a KO show at WrestleMania. So he was on Busted Open, and Bully Ray criticized WWE for having Steve Austin headline WrestleMania 38. This is because it is a disrespect for the current talent who worked hard all year round. He says this on Busted Open this week. If you have to announce it's a match, you have to announce it, obviously, as his last time ever. I don't agree with it being the main event of night one. You seriously cannot put that match on last in my eyes. That is a direct kick in the ass to the talent that is there now. Yes, it's an attraction. Yes, it's Steve Austin. But I think even Steve Austin would tell you, no, I should not go on last. The women should go on last or any other main event. You know what? Forget about man or woman. Whatever main event that's been built, that has earned the right to go on last. But not Steve and Kevin. Steve and Kevin belong in the middle of the show. It's going to be a very hard thing to follow Steve and Kevin. You know, there's a lot. There's a lot that I want to just pick apart in his statement. I mean, he's obviously on some sort of medication. This cannot be somebody that you guys regularly listen to on Busted Open Radio for your pro wrestling critiques and opinions. This guy, there's just loopholes in everything he's saying here. Number one, they never announced this was going to be the main event. Never announced this was going to be the main event. It's only hearsay right now, only rumor and speculation. That's number one. Number two, it's not even a match. I don't know why anybody is thinking it's going to be a match. We don't know what the fuck it's going to be until we see it happen at WrestleMania. It is advertised as a KO show. They're building it like a match because they want you to think it's a match because WWE is desperate to sell fucking tickets. And if the fans are in the mindset that Stone Cold Steve Austin is going to be doing more than sitting in a fucking chair and talking and drinking beer, then they may be more apt to buy tickets to the show. So WWE is playing it off as if it's a street fight instead of a KO show. They're just advertising it as a KO show, but they're building it as something completely different. So that's number two. So he goes on to say, I don't agree with it being the main event of night one. You seriously cannot put that match on last. In my eyes, it's a direct kick in the ass to the talent that is there now. He goes on to say Austin is an attraction. Yes. And then he goes on to say Austin would tell you, no, I should not go on last. How do you know that? Well, why wasn't Goldberg going to Vince McMahon and telling Vince McMahon, you know, Vince, I should not be beating Bray Wyatt. All the legends should be doing exactly what he thinks Stone Cold should be doing, but that's never the case. If Austin's coming back, you honestly think he wants to be in the middle of the fucking show? Austin coming back after 19 years, you want Stone Cold Steve Austin to be in the middle of the fucking show in a forgettable moment? WWE is going to have the show end just like they did WrestleMania when they were in the fucking pandemic in the empty gymnasium. They ended the fucking show with a graveyard match and The Undertaker riding off into the darkness on his motorcycle with Metallica blasting as we saw the show go off the air. That's exactly what they're going to do here for Stone Cold Steve Austin. It is going to be in the main event, in my honest opinion. And the last thing that we see on night one before we get into night two is going to be Austin drinking Stone Cold IPAs as the show goes off the air after he beats Kevin Owens and stomps a mud hole in Kevin Owens. That's exactly what he's doing. So I don't understand why he's saying, no, Steve even would say, I should not go on last. How the fuck do you know? Would you do that? Would Bully Ray do that? Would Bully Ray get on the WrestleMania card in the main event being given a big thing, a monumental thing, right? And would he go to Vince McMahon and say, you know, Vince, I shouldn't go on in the main event. I don't want to be last. I don't want to be last. I'd rather be third or fourth from the top. Give me a fucking break. Yeah, it's easy for him to say that, but let me see him get into the same position that Stone Cold is in and say what he thinks Stone Cold should say. Lastly, he doesn't think Stone Cold with Kevin Owens should main event. Now, theoretically, it's not the main event. We have to see what happens on night one of WrestleMania. But Stone Cold Steve Austin, he says, should not go on in the main event. It's a kick in the ass to the talent that is there now. I'm sorry, Bully Ray. What is the scheduled main event for night one? It's Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship. First of all, the feud sucks. Nothing about it is remotely interesting whatsoever. And Ronda Rousey is a part-timer. She's just as bad as Stone Cold Steve Austin. So you're complaining about Steve Austin main eventing WrestleMania over a part-timer that just came back to do nothing but win the championship and not build the division and not make the division better. Is that what you're telling me? That's what I should be upset about. If you're asking me what I want in the main event, I'm going to pick Stone Cold Steve Austin and Kevin Owens. Why? Because Ronda Rousey is not someone that's deserving of a main event spot at WrestleMania. Simple. And the feud with Ronda and Charlotte is fucking garbage. I don't even know what the fuck they're feuding over. Charlotte called Ronda's baby ugly, and she called Ronda a bitch, and now all of a sudden they're fighting over who's got more submission moves than the other. That's your WrestleMania main event? Give me a break, man. Flair and everybody like him, Bully Ray, Bischoff, all these fucking geeks, Disco Inferno, these fucking talentless hacks. They say the most outlandish shit because at the end of the day, their podcast sucks. And they need shit like that. They need to feed off the fucking idiots out there who are going to report about it and make themselves relevant in the community. That's the only way it works out. Idiots. Both of these guys, completely fucking stupid. Moving on with the rest of the news, man. WWE 2K22 is out. It's been out for a couple weeks now. Not the most perfect wrestling game. There are still glitches here and there, and there's still frame rate drops, and things don't look right altogether. But the game plays so much better than WWE 2K20, and they really did a good job at fixing whatever the problems were with the last title. It's not perfect, but I think everybody in the community has been overall very pleased with the game. There was a report from Fightful a couple of weeks ago that WWE had preliminary discussions with EA Sports about them potentially taking over the WWE Games franchise, and WWE 2K22 was viewed as a make or break for 2K Games. Well, it seems like 2K22 is doing well enough for WWE to stick around for the foreseeable future with 2K Games. Ronnie Singh, who is a 2K Sports digital marketing director, posted a tweet this week of him saying a bunch of nice things from the WWE headquarters. He was with the team, Stephanie McMahon, and a bunch of other people at the WWE headquarters. Stephanie McMahon was there. Such a pleasure meeting a person I have long admired for her presence, business acumen, and etc. At Stephanie McMahon to be partnering on many more WWE game launches. This was followed by a tweet from the official WWE 2K account, which said, shout out to @WWE and Stephanie McMahon for the continued partnership and an amazing launch of 2K22. Here's to many more years of success. Hashtag it hits different. It's worth mentioning that there hasn't been an official announcement about who WWE will be working with the next game. It could be still EA. We don't know. It could still end up being EA, and 2K Games could be in the mud for all we know. But as far as what I am seeing, everybody is very pleased. I waited for opinions. I waited for reviews. And I made my determination off of a bunch of different things. I immediately said, I'm not going to buy the game because I don't trust them. And everybody came out with these overwhelming opinions about the game. So it made me a little bit more comfortable about buying the game. And I'm assuming that ended up happening for a lot of other people as well. So it may end up being a major success, more so than 2K20 was as far as sales figures go. And that's the only thing WWE really cares about. All I hope is that the team continues to really nurture the game and care for the game and support the game. And I hope we don't see a 2K23 next year. I don't want to see the same game come out next year when it's going to basically be the same thing. Let this one sit for a little bit. Call of Duty's even making an executive move about not releasing another Call of Duty after this year. It's going to take some time off. So in 2K's stance, I would follow the same thing that Call of Duty's doing. In 2022, we're getting Modern Warfare Part 2. And then next year, 23, we're not getting a Call of Duty game in the October, November part of the year. We're going to have to wait till 2024 to get the new Call of Duty game. That's what I hope 2K Games does. So make sure you guys go out and get the game. Try it out. I think it's worth it. And I'm having a lot of fun with the My Rise, which you guys can actually watch on my YouTube channel right now. Episode 2 will be up right at the start of this weekend. MJF. MJF loves everything that WWE is doing. What a troll is MJF. MJF is already a controversial figure. He buried Jesus Christ on AEW Dynamite last night. And he always seems to heat things up whenever anybody mentions WWE around him. In the past, MJF has said in shoot interviews that he'd be an AEW lifer. But more recently, he's brought up the fact on TV that when his contract is up in 2024, he'll be waiting from WWE as far as offers are concerned. He's going to be waiting for offers from Vince and Nick Khan and Vince's team. In a new interview with Ariel Helwani, I would not be reporting this if it was anybody else. Ariel Helwani said to MJF about the WWE and asked about WWE. MJF spoke very highly of the WWE product. He said, and I quote, "I think WWE's doing great. I love everything WWE's doing. I just think we are fresh and we have fresh faces that people haven't seen before. I think right now, everything that Vince and Bruce Prichard are putting out there is absolutely incredible. I love it. I love NXT 2.0. I love Raw. I love SmackDown. I love what Roman's doing. I think Roman's putting out some great work." What a troll, man. Oh, my goodness. If I got Maxwell and I got his ear away from the camera and it wasn't Ariel Helwani, he'll probably tell me the complete opposite. I think what Vince and Bruce are doing is absolutely terrible. I hate it. I hate NXT 2.0. Triple H did a much better job with NXT. I hate Raw. SmackDown sucks. Roman is the only redeeming quality on SmackDown. I think Roman's putting out some great work. That's exactly what MJF would tell me if it wasn't an interview with Ariel Helwani. He specifically talked about NXT 2.0, which, by the way, is dog shit if you guys haven't watched. MJF was very complimentary of NXT 2.0. He said this: "I genuinely love WWE programming. It's great. There's so much as far as charisma is concerned. Charisma machines on that program. I think it's a great show. They had a makeout competition this past Tuesday, gripping television. How could you not like a makeout competition? I practically had a makeout competition with that hot redhead a couple of weeks ago. Who doesn't like a good makeout sesh? So I'm enjoying it. I think Bruce is doing a hell of a job. And at the end of the day, quite frankly, there's a lot of guys there that are developing and trying to figure out who they are as human beings, not who they are as acts, but who they are as human beings. And it's fun to watch these young guys develop and figure it out." I love the lines, man. I love the lines. "I think Bruce is doing a hell of a job," says MJF. It's not April Fool's yet, Maxwell. It's not April Fool's yet, bro. You're a fucking comedian. He's a fucking comedian, man. You gotta love him. You gotta love MJF, man. AEW fans, I think, are wise enough to know that MJF is completely and utterly trolling everybody in this interview with Ariel Helwani. MJF, every time he cuts a promo, is on AEW television. I'm thinking to myself, he is never, ever going to be able to say a tenth of what he says on AEW television on WWE television. Never. He will be world champion. CM Punk will be winning the world championship this year. And then when it's MJF's time, he will be beating CM Punk for that world championship. And MJF will be the king of pro wrestling. I'm telling you right now, man, mark my words. That promo, the night after he wins that championship, that following Dynamite, it is going to be absolutely must-see television. It is going to be utter hatred when MJF beats CM Punk for that AEW World Championship. Ethan Page, speaking of AEW, Ethan Page apparently is being sought after by WWE. Andrew Zarian of the Mat Men podcast said that there are people in WWE who are very high on Ethan Page and have high praise for him. Andrew Zarian says, by the way, Ethan Page is another dude that WWE is very high on. They like Ethan Page's whole deal, and I think he's super hyper talented. That's what Andrew Zarian, and I agree with what Andrew Zarian said in regards to Ethan Page. I think Ethan Page has got a great look. I think Ethan Page is a great promo, and I think Ethan Page has got the right amount of physicality and intensity in the ring to really be successful in WWE if he wanted to eventually jump ship. He's got a great look, and there's a lot to like there, so I don't really blame WWE on being high on Ethan Page. If WWE wants to talk to Ethan Page, though, it might not happen for a while because he has years left on his current WWE deal. Zarian did acknowledge that Page did re-sign with the company and now has more leverage with AEW as far as what's going on there. And AEW wanted to bring him in, and they didn't want to risk having him leave when his contract expired. Zarian said, I know that Ethan Page has re-signed and he's there for a while now, but I know for a fact that there are eyes on him for sure because he's a guy who is a good-looking guy who can cut a great promo. He has that TV look. So you got to keep a guy like that happy, especially now that he re-signed with AEW. You got to do something with him. I agree. I think Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page could be a viable tag team if they want to go that route. You know, Ethan Page is tied up with Scorpio Sky. Scorpio Sky right now is the TNT champion. That's also something that I'd like to see Ethan Page go after when the time is right. But I could see him doing that. I could see him being a viable contender with Scorpio Sky for the tag team championships. I think there's a lot to do with him. And I'm glad he's sticking around because I think he is a very, very good in-ring talent. And there's a lot to like about him. Zarian previously reported that WWE is interested in Wardlow, that they're interested in Jade Cargill, that they're interested in MJF. And I find it funny how WWE for years has stated that AEW is not competition. The simple fact of the matter that they're interested in Wardlow and Jade Cargill and Ethan Page and MJF, all of that means AEW is competition to WWE. Otherwise, WWE would not be interested in anybody on AEW's side. And it's a great thing for the talent, too, because it all goes back to what we said. AEW and them being around is going to get everybody a little bit more money and a little bit more payday at the end of the day. Without AEW, I don't know if WWE is interested in any of these people with their current, shtick that they got going on there as far as their hiring process is concerned. They might not give Wardlow a look. They might not give Jade Cargill a look. The fact that they're on AEW television and they're on TV every fucking week is a great thing because now WWE sees them and they might not have seen them if AEW wasn't around. So AEW being around is a great thing. There will be defections. Cody Rhodes is the first one. Cody Rhodes actually, Jericho exposed Cody Rhodes. I might as well get into that. Jericho exposed Cody Rhodes on Talk is Jericho and apparently said that Cody Rhodes is WWE. He said this on Talk is Jericho. He confirmed, Jericho did, that Cody Rhodes is signing with the WWE. He said, I'm pulling back the curtain a little bit on the wrestling business. Jericho said on Talk is Jericho, you're going to discover how I've been able to be Chris Jericho no matter what company I work for or where I wrestle. You'll hear how Danhausen gets to keep his name and gimmick from promotion to promotion. How Cody Rhodes got to reclaim the Rhodes name from WWE even though he's going back to WWE. So Jericho kind of exposed Cody Rhodes, and I think we all know this. It is the worst kept secret in professional wrestling. That's Cody Rhodes is on his way back. He may be on Monday Night Raw this coming week. We don't know. I wouldn't do that. I would save him for WrestleMania, but Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins is all but confirmed at WrestleMania against Seth Rollins. Now, the reason why Jericho said this is because he had trademark attorney Mike Dawkins as his guest on Talk is Jericho this week, and Dawkins handles trademark issues for professional wrestlers, including many of the wrestlers that work for AEW, Jericho, and Cody as well. So he pretty much exposed that Cody Rhodes is going to end up back in WWE. In fact, he is back with WWE right now. And finally, guys, WWE's made some major changes to the WrestleMania card. WWE has 2 more changes for the WrestleMania 38 card as 2 matches have been moved to different nights. Now, WWE would like to keep WrestleMania a 2-night affair. WWE would want all WrestleManias from this point on to be 2-day events. So during Saturday or Sunday night's main event podcast, Dave Meltzer said that this year's show was a test to see if the two-day WrestleMania format would do well with tickets. He says on Sunday night's main event podcast, I think WrestleMania is going to be a two-night thing going forward. I think was the first step to see, will people buy, and they bought in good enough numbers. Did it sell out first day? Were the original numbers gigantic? No, but it's fine. It's a big stadium. It wasn't going to be easy to sell out 2 straight nights. They haven't announced 2 days for next year, but I think it's better to go for 2 days. It's just the nature of what WrestleMania has become. There's more money to be made, and it's better for the shows. I talked to people there, and they certainly gave me the impression that the idea is 2 days going forward. They can always change their mind based on what happens. I think that they all thought the 7-hour show just doesn't work. That's more tiring than the 2 days. Now, WrestleTix on Twitter, the wrestling ticket information Twitter handle, WrestleTix is reporting that more than 58,000 tickets are gone for night 2. I think the night 1 is going to end up being better than night 2, just based on what I'm about to read to you. But the night 1 numbers are somewhere in the ballpark as night 2 is, around 58, closer to 60,000 per night. Still very good, but nowhere near what the stadium is obviously shaped out to be. Now, WWE made some changes to the WrestleMania card. Apparently, AJ Styles and Edge, which was originally announced for the second night and then pulled from the lineup, it has now been added to the WrestleMania card for Sunday, and it's since been added to WrestleMania Sunday, but now it's listed for night 1. I'm sorry, it's listed as night 1 now, AJ Styles and Edge. Also, the Fatal 4-Way match for the WWE Women's Tag Team titles is now listed for WrestleMania Sunday after originally being listed for Saturday. There was even talk internally that it's been listed as of Friday, and WWE may actually do this match on SmackDown instead of doing it at WrestleMania, which would be pathetic, because then Sasha Banks doesn't get a WrestleMania moment. Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan don't get on the WrestleMania card. With Friday being listed, there was some speculation that it may take place on SmackDown instead of WrestleMania. Night 1 is shaping up like this. Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship. Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Steve Austin to confront Kevin Owens on the KO show. Drew McIntyre versus Baron Corbin. SmackDown Tag Team Championships. The Usos versus Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs. Edge versus AJ Styles. That right now is night 1. Night 1 is a lot better than night 2. Also night 1, I forgot to mention this, Logan Paul and The Miz versus Rey and Dominic Mysterio. So night 1, I don't want to say it's a great show because it's not. On paper, it looks very weak. But I would say compared to night 2, it is definitely the night you would want to attend. Night 2, Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. Unification match of the WWE and Universal Championships. Pat McAfee versus Austin Theory. RK Bro versus the Street Profits versus Alpha Academy for the Raw Tag Team Championships. Vega, Carmella versus Banks. Naomi versus Ripley. And Liv Morgan versus Natalya and Shayna Baszler. Right now, that's on night 2. It may end up being on SmackDown. We don't know yet. And then Sami Zayn versus Johnny Knoxville. Anything goes night 2. That sounds absolutely horrendous. That WrestleMania Night 2 sounds like a legit nightmare on Friday Night SmackDown. It sounds like a SmackDown show. You're realistically paying top-tier prices to attend WrestleMania to go see what you would normally see on a generic Friday Night SmackDown in Bumblefuck, USA. Now you know why I don't attend WrestleMania. And the great thing about WrestleMania being 2 nights is it means double the payday for me. It means double the streams for you guys. It means a lot easier to digest as far as fans are concerned. Nobody wants to sit through a 7-hour show. Nobody wants to be tired after a fucking 8-hour marathon of WrestleMania. Up and down, there's good things, there's terrible things, there's in-between things. It's just a long, long night. Nobody wants to sit through that. This is a much better format, the 2 nights, 3.5 hours each. Great. Great. I don't have to make a whole fucking day out of WrestleMania. The bad thing about WrestleMania being 2 nights is that when WWE, and they could have easily avoided this if there was any fucking creativity involved at all. The shit thing about 2-night WrestleManias is look at this show. You're going to have one show that is obviously better than the other, one night that is obviously better than the other. And when you go into this in this apathetic, fucking lazy, careless, lifeless, soulless way that WWE has gone into this year's WrestleMania, you're going to end up with one night being better than the other. So that's the big downfall of having a two-night WrestleMania. Night 1 looks decent. Night 2 sounds like a fucking shit SmackDown show that I barely even want to watch on a regular Friday night. That's their problem. But WWE can easily fix that if they put any sort of creativity into building storylines, creating fucking stars, pushing new talents, having fun with the roster that they have that would make anybody jealous. Now, they don't want that. They want Johnny Knoxville on fucking WrestleMania Night 2. They want Pat McAfee wrestling Austin Theory in a nothing match just for the sake of getting some star power on the show because they're afraid to build up current talent on their fucking programs. Not for it. Not for it. There's pros and there's cons to WrestleMania. The cons in WWE, as far as WrestleMania are concerned, could be easily avoided and don't have to happen. WWE has Shinsuke Nakamura versus Rick Boogs for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. Why? That's not a WrestleMania match to me. The Women's Tag Team match is not a WrestleMania match to me either. Baron Corbin versus Drew McIntyre. That's a WrestleMania match to you? WrestleMania undercard matches should be near top main event level. That don't even sound like it's worthy of a main event spot on fucking YouTube. Holy shit. WWE's got some fucking work to do, man. They got some balls thinking that this is worthy of a WrestleMania show. Fans paying money to go see this shit. My goodness, man. Things need to be fixed next year if WWE wants to continue 2 nights of WrestleMania. Guys, I'm getting out of here. That is all I got for this extra. Let me know what you guys think of the top stories down below, and I will see you all right back here on Friday Night Live from the OTS venue. Make sure you guys set your notifications. Friday Night SmackDown, AEW Rampage will be live talking about tomorrow night's show, and I got some WWE 2K content coming up as well. Make sure you guys stick around for that, probably tomorrow sometime in the afternoon. Guys, thank you very much. Hit that thumbs up, 1,000 likes minimum. Follow me on social media at Shady from NY206, and make sure you guys hit that subscribe button down below for the latest and greatest in pro wrestling news right here on Off The Script. Until then, guys, I'll see you back on Friday for what should be a very busy day content-wise. Enjoy your Thursdays, and I'll see you right back here live for SmackDown tomorrow night on OTS. I'll see you guys later.